Swift, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you spending your time to come on with us and just talk some football. So, admire all your work and your grind. Your channel's awesome. So, yeah, thanks for your time, man. And let's just get right to it. After seeing that first game, for the rest of the season, what concerns you more, the offense or the defense? And
I would say defense right now. Like our defensive line, obviously, it's the one part of the team that I think is farthest away from being completely rebuilt. It's kind of went defensive ends kind of went on the back burner. Yeah, there's been some things he's done, like he drafted Dominique Robinson in the 5th round. He paid DeMarcus Walker a little bit of money, and then gave Yannick Ngakoue a big deal. But he hasn't drafted anybody in the first 2 days in 2 drafts back to back at probably one of our biggest positions of weakness. So yeah, I'm definitely more worried about the defense right now. And then a guy that I was really comfortable with going into the season, Eddie Jackson. Man, he looked like crap last week. He's still got Pro Bowl potential, but if he plays like that the rest of the season, then yeah, I would want him gone. But it's one game. You don't overreact like that to one game.
Well, me and Paulie were venting about Eddie Jackson and saying, he drove us nuts, made us sick in week 1. And I said, Paulie, he might be your favorite player by week 8 because he's so streaky and you never know with Eddie Jackson. And we totally agree that he's a gambler. When it goes well, it goes really well. When it goes badly, it goes really badly. And, my biggest problem with it is, you give up the first touchdown of the season, you just pat your chest and you say, my bad. Like this isn't practice anymore. It's not a my bad situation. You're losing the game now because you took a big risk and you took a big gamble. And that's my biggest issue with Eddie Jackson. It's also the reason we all love Eddie Jackson. But I say defense as well for many reasons. Similar to what you're saying, it's such a vanilla defense. And because it's such a vanilla defense, relies on front four pressure, relies on corners getting easy interceptions off of, bad turnovers. You don't have that talent. So it's going to be a long season. You're going to get great games out of the offense at some point. It's just inevitable. But that defense is there's just no talent where you require talent in a vanilla style.
You said it kind of with the pressure, and we had the least amount of pressure from our front four in the entire league. And when you pair that with you're also the team that blitzed the least in the NFL,
17%.
We're just not generating any pressure, and that's not a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely said the defense as well. You give up the first drive right away to a guy who's coming in, who's got a lot of pressure on him to succeed with Jordan Love. Very little experience in this league. A lot of experience on the bench, but no real game experience in the last couple of years. Their number one wide receivers out. They have nobody at wide receiver. They have rookie tight ends. They're the youngest team in the league, which means they're the most inexperienced team in the league. And you just come out and let them walk all over you on the first drive. It was really, really deflating. Hearing that Kyler Gordon's injured, that kind of sucks. We needed him in there. We were pretty thin at that position last year. I know we drafted again this year, another corner in Stevenson, and I believe we got another one in the 4th round
Terrell
too.
Smith, yeah.
But yes, Terrell Smith. But it just goes to show that they understand that position is thin. So losing a guy like him does hurt the defense a bit. And a follow-up question: did we get worse on defense from last year?
No way. I would say. I mean, last year we had, especially after we traded Roquan, we had nothing at linebacker. So we have huge upgrades at linebacker with Edmonds and Edwards, and then on the defensive line, Andrew Billings alone, how well he played the run. That's one thing that kind of went overlooked in that game is we did only give up 2.9 yards per carry on the ground when last year we were dead last in the NFL. Teams didn't need to pass. If you remember that Bills game, like Josh Allen never run the ball, and they were playing us, and all of a sudden, like they had a couple 3-and-outs with Josh Allen passing, and they were like, we could just run the ball on these guys. Like, what are we doing? And they ran the ball and scored like 30 straight unanswered points because we couldn't stop it. So pair that with Yannick Ngakoue is going to have some pass rush ability, and the rookies, hopefully we see a little bit more from them as the season goes on. Can only hope they get better. So, I mean, worse than last year, no way I'd say, but bad start to the season, yes, an uninspired game by Allen Williams for sure. Like, if there's one thing you want to do in the NFL is blitz young quarterbacks. That's one thing that almost all defensive coordinators do. And this was our one chance here to really come out and shock Jordan Love. And he just let him sit there in the pocket all day. So I'm not confident going forward in the defensive coordinator.
Where do you place most of the blame on offense if you had to place the blame? And I'll just start this one off. There's going to be two types of fans out there. The guys that really support Fields and sit there and will say, well, it was everything around Fields that went bad. And then there's the guys that always hate Fields that'll sit there and just point a finger right at him. And I guess I'm the outlier here because I love Fields. I've been a huge supporter of him. But in my opinion, it starts with him. And, you got to make the layups. You got to make the easy throws. Little dump off throws that are going over guys' heads. Didn't even throw a deep route. Until you can sit here and show me that you're capable of even running a simple offense as a coordinator, I wouldn't feel comfortable making it more complicated. Now, did they scheme the best scheme for him in the game? Probably not. But I do still feel that most of the blame has to fall on his shoulders, as much as it hurts me to say it. So
we've had the debate on this. I blame Fields the least on this situation. Did he have some missed throws and did he not take chances when he possibly should have? Yes, but a lot of what I think Fields' negatives right now are, I think, things that have been coached out of him, and I think a lot of the things that have been just kind of beaten into his brain about being more of a pocket passer, not playing to his instinct. And I think you can coach instinct out of a player. And right now, my biggest concern, because I love Justin Fields and I want him to be the next, Bears 10-year starter, I feel like we're just coaching the instinct out of a good player. So to me, I think it's coaching. It's going to go top down. And that's why I'm so concerned already in week 1 about like the rest of the season. But that's me.
No, I'm kind of in that same boat as you there. I think you have to put your quarterback in a position to succeed. And you don't see a single quarterback in the league succeeding without great play calling. All the good quarterbacks have good play callers. And it's something that it's been questioned by a lot of fans when we hired Matt Eberflus. I was fine with it when you don't get an offensive guy, but I really did think going into it with a second-year quarterback like Justin Fields that we would hire an offensive coach. And the scheme this week was pathetic. I mean, you don't plan to attack a team horizontally. That's not, you don't have 3 receivers that run sub 4.4. Actually, I mean, all 6 of our receivers that were active, or all 6 of our receivers on the roster run sub 4.4 40s. And you don't have that and then run a horizontal game plan, especially with Justin Fields' arm talent. Like what we were supposed to do, they talked about it all year last year. They were establishing that identity. And it gave me faith in the coaching staff because even with the lack of talent we had on this roster, somehow we still led the league in rushing. It didn't amount to a lot of wins, but a team without any talent and bad offensive line, horrible defense, still ran for 3,000 yards on the ground. And they said it all year. That's our identity. Where was that identity yesterday? The stuff that we established last year, they didn't build on that, and we couldn't even run the ball. So it's almost like we took a step back, and that's 100% on the coaches to me.
That's my biggest thing. You took the word out of my mouth, identity. And my biggest issue with, and it felt towards the end, and even in, you could say the middle, but it was very Matt Nagy-ish. We remember Matt Nagy so well. It was very 5 wide, 5 curls. This was screen pass. The only other reason you would run a screen pass in Swift, you said it, it's like, it's a changeup. It takes the pressure off of the pass rush and stuff like that. The only other reason you run lots and lots of screens is because you can't block up front. That's not true anymore. We saw a lot of clean pockets. We saw like 2 sacks that Justin Fields might have taken just because he overthought it and held onto the ball. And then 2 sacks where, some pressure was given up, but it's a better line for sure. It's a better offensive line. And now you got a guy, Justin Fields, Justin, what do you do well? Well, I scramble really well. I throw on the run really well. And I throw deep balls really well. And they go, shut up. You're gonna stand in the pocket. You're never going to run. And you're going to throw short balls exclusively.
Screen passes all day.
And it drives me insane.
It's not that I disagree with you guys. I mean, I agree with you guys. All these points are very valid. I'm not ready to just excuse Justin Fields. I mean, you had a pick six in this game. You had a fumble in this game. You know, that's 2 turnovers just at the hands of the quarterback.
Both of
And
those came, though, after they were down 31-10. And I believe at that point, most quarterbacks do. You try to be
Press.
Superman.
Yeah,
And
you try to press. You know, the thing that pisses me off about the coaches is it took them 5 to 6 games last year to learn this. So it is kind of shitty to come out this year, kind of try the same thing you did last year after it took you 5 to 6 games to learn you need to run a different style of offense.
it's like they didn't learn.
Yeah, exactly.
These are in our old videos, Paulie. Said my biggest concern with Luke Getsy is he got a bunch of shiny new toys. And now he thinks that he can turn Justin Fields into what he ideally wanted to. He force adjusted himself week 6 to do what he needed to do to get by. But
yeah,
he got a bunch of shiny new toys, and he thinks he can go back to weeks 1 through 4 of last year, and that's not the right way to progress. You need to build on what you did successfully and then add on to it with DJ Moore and stuff like that. But he reverted and went back to, this is what I ideally wanted to do week 1 of last year. And now I'm going to actually try it again because I got more talent. And it's asinine. It's this isn't what the NFL is.
Well, you know, the guy I'm most pissed at personally is Chase Claypools. In my opinion, like he helped wreck this game so much. And it's not just in the passing plays; it's in a lot of running plays, in the blocking. Dude, there's
I think a little bit too much blame on Claypool there, though. I mean, he got blown up on that one block, but I mean, he also ran some good routes to help get his teammates open. He had some good blocks in the game as well. I think overall on tape, Claypool wasn't as bad as people are acting like. When he got blown up on that one screen, it looks pathetic. I mean, and I think I even called that out, and it's something I've called out, but overall, it's not like he wasn't trying the whole game. And then on top of that, I know Equanimous, he was brought in for his blocking skills, but did you watch him in the preseason? He was absolutely awful. I don't know if he's been banged up, but he was one of the worst run blocking or blocking receivers I've seen in preseason. So I don't know if the effort wasn't there. So that take for sure. I definitely don't think ESB would have changed anything. Could we have maybe got a couple yards on that Mooney screen? Sure. But he's not a threat. Like, defenses aren't scared of ESB.
No, I'll go back and rewatch it and try to see what you're.
I think he's an expressive guy. I think he's overly expressive, and sometimes that rubs fans wrong. If you're winning, people will love him because he's a guy that's going to hype everybody up and be out there yelling at the other team. But when you're losing, he's the guy who is going to get called a diva because his gestures, his body language. It's almost like, you remember Jay Cutler, everyone always talking about his body language. No one's going to like Claypool's body language a lot of time when we're not winning because he's not happy when we're not winning. He's a guy who's not happy to lose, but he is a competitor and he is an insane talent. If he plays up to his capability, and I think what happened early on in that game, he ran a couple of routes where he was open, and I think he might have got frustrated a little bit that Justin didn't hit him. And when that one play, there was definitely poor blocking. I saw poor blocking on a couple of them, but a couple of them, it was technique. It wasn't really effort. That one where he got blown up, to me, that was effort. Like, that dude's little. Like, grab him and throw him down. Like,
you're not saying anything incorrect, Swifty. I think you're just like, you still have benefit of doubt for Chase Claypool, which is, whatever that's worth, in terms of,
I always value talent, and he has about as much talent as you can get.
Yeah, for sure. And he is. I told Paulie his nickname is Mapletron. I love the idea of Chase Claypool. I personally, at the end of the day, it's a sport where two guys hit each other as hard as they can in the head. And Chase Claypool, I think he believes in the idea of what he can do in football differently than what he can do on the field in football. And like the most famous clip of Chase Claypool is him with the Brandon Marshall show, him and Pac-Man Jones, and he's predicting he knows he's one of the best receivers in the league. He knows it. He's going to go 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 100 catches. And he's never even scratched that. So I think he's a little bit I don't want to use this word, but delusional in what his capabilities are in the football field versus what he's actually performing out there. And I'm not going to go. My biggest takeaway was the first thing I said about Chase Claypool to Paulie. I texted him. I said, I don't think I'm not going to say yes or no. Equinemius St. Brown makes a difference in the game, but there's lots of players on the Bears team that were very, very pissed that Equinemius St. Brown was a healthy scratch because they know they would have gotten more effort out of Equinemius St. Brown than Chase Claypool. Do you guys remember last year the emphasis in training camp that was like just beaten into our brains about how hard they're coaching scramble drills?
Yep.
And this year, and like this first game,
yeah.
I don't think I remember one single scramble drill. It was a 1, 2, 3, 4 check down. And I didn't see a single instinctual play on the field this week against Green Bay. There was not one time where Justin Fields just said 1, 2, pat it down. I don't care about how many heel clicks Justin Fields does. I don't care how many times he pats the ball. Like, stop coaching that out of him. There's a certain point where you start teaching technique. It's like basketball and a three-pointer. If it looks ugly but it goes in, let it go in. Stop trying to teach the proper form of things. Let Justin Fields play Justin Fields football. And that is one of my biggest issues right now is I don't see a Justin Fields type football team. I see a Luke Getsy football team with Justin Fields there.
David, it's funny because we talk about how we hate basketball analogies, like, oh, this guy's Steph Curry on the football field, and it's like, just stop. But that was actually a pretty good one. Like, even if it's a sloppy three, let it go in. And
there's plenty of guys in the NBA that shoot ugly, but they make them.
So it's kind of how I feel too. Like, listen, my judgment on the coaching staff, I need some more time because, like I said, unfortunately, you kind of are coming out and doing the same thing you did last year. It's very concerning because last year you took a bunch of games, killed the season to learn what you do good. So to come out and kind of repeat that same thing is almost maddening. But it's more maddening when they repeat it again and again and again, right? So I need to see these adjustments. I need to see them go out there and actually realize, like, hey, bad idea. And I know they've had all season to plan for this. So maybe they just got a little too ahead of themselves. Maybe they thought they could do something they can't. But if we're going to win here, if we're going to make this 3-ball, it's not going to be the prettiest 3-ball. We have to sit here and play a certain style because I don't think the defense is going to be fixed much. You're going to need ball. You're going to need ball control. You're going to need to run the ball. You're going to need ball control. You're going to need to eat up the clock a lot. And if you get into shootouts, good luck. Moving forward, next game is Tampa Bay. And listen, the real concern isn't Tampa Bay. The real concern here is Week 3 at Kansas City, which pretty much everybody who had them 11-6 or 12-5 still had a loss in Week 3 against Kansas City. So for us to go 0-2 and then had into a game with Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field, it's pretty much a guaranteed 0-3. So this next week it's crazy. That's why I love the sport. Week 2 in the NFL, it's a must-win for the Chicago Bears, and it feels awesome.
That way. Honestly,
it's awesome. So my prediction is, I'm going to say 3 field goals, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say 23-21 Bears. Swifty, what do you think?
I think the other guy was it Paulski? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Paul.
No, the other guy. I'm sorry.
David.
Okay, yeah, my fault. David kind of touched on it with the scheme thing. It's like I questioned it at first a little bit. Do we fit this scheme? Is this the scheme for Justin Fields? And I think as much as 1 week can matter in the NFL, this is about as important of a week as I've seen for an offensive coordinator because I lost a lot of faith in Getsy last week. And if I need to see a scheme that looks competitive and gives us a chance to win this game, I need to see shots designed down the field. I need to see our identity come back. And I predict us to win this game. I think we're going to bounce back and win. I don't know. I don't have a score off the top of my head. I did that last week and it worked awful. So I'm not picking a score this week. I'm just picking Bears win. And if they don't, we got some soul searching to do because Kansas City's coming, and we're going to Kansas City after that, and it'll be tough.
Yeah, I've been in the same bandwagon. I'm matching up teams right now, and Tampa Bay is really all they lost was Tom Brady. And yes, Tom Brady is the GOAT, and he's my favorite player of all time. Physically, you're not downgrading tremendously from Baker Mayfield. Mentally, yes, you are. This team is still incredibly well coached. They're incredibly good on defense, and they have all their starters from last year, and they're going to blitz the hell out of Justin Fields. And I have more faith in Tampa Bay's coaching and their scheme than for Luke Getsy to show me that we talked about the leashes and the adjustments, and I said Luke Getsy is gone by week 8. I have no confidence in Luke Getsy to make the adjustment over a 6-day period that it took him 6 weeks to make last year. I don't have that confidence. So I said if Green Bay beat us by 18, I predict a 6 to 9 point loss against Tampa Bay. Whatever that is to you, 21-30, 14-24, 21. I predict about a 9 point loss to Tampa Bay. I don't have any confidence for Luke Getsy to make that quick of an adjustment.
We aren't friends anymore. No.
It's just, I think this team is going to get better. Hey, an 18 point loss to a 6 point loss is improving. So